following video will describe some changes to the software and some new functionality in this acquisition control panel. So first things first, you'll notice that the image name is no longer in the middle of this strip, but rather at the top. So you can change your name there. Furthermore, the three little dots to the side of that, where you would decide where to save things, is now this different icon, which nevertheless takes you to the same place and then back again. You'll see that there is now an escape Z key. So if you are in live mode, in focus, and you want to escape the objective because you want to do something on the microscope or even change the sample, if you hit escape Z, the objective will go all the way to the bottom. So if you go to live, you'll see there's nothing there. And if you hit refocus, it'll go all the way back to where you last were. So this is different than what happens when you try to do something similar from like a microscope, where it doesn't go back to where you were. It goes back to what you had marked as your 0. So that's a slightly different behavior, but I think it's a behavior that's useful in the sense that wherever you are, let's say you were here, if you escape, you'll come back here. If you were at a slightly different focal plane, such as this one, and I escape and I come back, it'll go back to that last place where I was. Okay, not anywhere that I marked as special, just the last place where I was. I'll describe what the new specimen button does in a minute. You could ignore slide and dish. Most of you do not need to use those features. This is the same, except now it also has this panel, this button, which will bring you back to the channel manager if you weren't there before. You still have the ability to do a quick specimen overview, and by default it's set to 3x3, but now you have also the ability to change that. So if we press this button, it'll do, in this case, a 3x3 and stitch it quickly together. But you can also, if you prefer, do something else, like a 3 wide and 1 high. So if we now hit this, you'll see that it just does that. So this provides more flexibility in this feature. Furthermore, I don't know if it'll be audible in this video, but there's a chime that sounds when it reaches the end. This feature still does the same thing. So if you activate this such that it is orange and you press anywhere in the image, you will navigate to that location in the image. And so that can be an image that you have saved, and it can be a map like this one. So if I click here, it will center what was there, this object. You can also do this when you're live on the image you are on, and just click and sort of navigate as you click around. Okay, so that has the same functionality as before. In addition, you have this joystick mode. This was present in the other one, but it's I'm going to describe how to use it now, where you can move the joystick. So instead of the physical joystick, you move this. Right now it's set to fine mode. If you set it to coarse mode, when you deflect it, it moves more. You can also click here to move in that direction by a little bit, and you can repeat that. Or if you click on one of these outer arrows, it moves by a larger amount. The same is true of this, which will move the focus, and it moves the focus not by adjusting the piezo position, but rather by adjusting the objective position. And if you keep it in a certain direction, it keeps moving the focus in that direction, as you can see by the changes in the Z coordinate here. And you also have the ability to move this more coarsely or finely, depending on the option you select here. So now I have it in coarse, so the same movement of this adjusts the focus more than if I were on fine. Another feature that is useful is this tool right here, which allows you to define the outer bounds of your sample. Once you've defined those outer bounds, you can take a preview image of that entire bounded area. So let me show you how this works. So if you press this button, you will see this purple box appears, and you can reshape this to whatever you want. If for some reason it doesn't work, as just happened now, if you go back and forth from live, you can typically, let me just snap an image. If you go to live, okay, you can typically get this to work just fine. It's a little bit glitchy, but So you can see that I've defined a bigger area that I'm interested in, and I can make this even bigger. So I'll do this. And once I have the area that I want to be the bounds of what I care about, I hit this apply button. When I hit this apply button, this button will become engaged. And what this button does is it'll take a preview of everything that's in this purple area. So if I now say, go ahead and do that, you can see that it'll take that preview. Now the visual behavior of this is a bit confusing because this box is moving all around, but it will take a preview of the area you set up as your boundaries. So you can see here we have that area set up. You can also see that we now have these things engaged. This means that there is sort of a visual cue that you've set up this boundary. And if we click on this toggle, we can now see that we have this little square that represents the area we're looking at, and we can navigate within there as needed. If we turn off the live, we're now going to be back in this bounded square. If you want to move using the joystick, when you have set boundaries, there is something that occurs, which is the joystick will not let you move beyond the boundaries that you've marked. And you will get these red indicators telling you you can't move beyond there. It just won't let you. If you want to move there and you don't want this blockage, you can turn on unlock, and now it will let you move beyond, even though you are beyond your boundaries. If you turn lock on again, it will mention that you're sort of outside of the boundaries of where you had set them. So I don't find the boundaries thing that useful, but it is useful sometimes to be able to mark a larger region either by hand using this, or in a way I'm going to show you in a second, which is by marking the corners. That can be useful sometimes to scan something rather large, and it can be easier than doing it with this, where you sort of have to guess at the width and the height. So let me clear everything I've done, turn off this, and just show you how to mark things by marking the top left and the bottom right corner of the area to scan. So I'm navigating with the manual joystick to the top left. This is a brain slice, so I'm going to say that roughly the thing I care about, the top left is about here, and the bottom right is, let's see, so that would be somewhere around here. And now I have this appears again. If I run it, what you'll see is that we should get, if I more or less marked it correctly, the entire brain size. So I didn't. I mean, it ended up being there. There was something here. But you can see how this will allow you to quickly scan a large area if you can find this top left and bottom right corners. And again, I didn't do a particularly good job, but once you have this, you can use this feature to go wherever you want within the sample and go at higher magnifications if you so wish. So if we go to 20x, you can see we're on the same object. If I turn off live, I can then navigate maybe to this hole, say live there, and that is where we are at a higher magnification. And the alignment between the magnifications is quite good. You might have to tweak the focus a little bit because they're not perfectly parfocal, but it is a good way of navigating between different magnifications. I want to show you one last thing before I conclude this video describing these new features in Fusion version 2.6.0, which is something that's also present in other versions, that you can rename files. So let's say we look at this and we don't like these long file names, and we want to rename, for example, this one to something called map. So you can't rename the image that is currently being displayed. So I can't rename this one, but if I display a different image, for example, this one, I can then click once on the one that I want to rename, click on the pencil here, and call it whatever we want. So if you don't want it to have that long name, we can do this, call it map, and then we can go back to it and it'll be called map, and this allows us to rename it. This renames it both within the software and outside of the software in the Windows Explorer. Whereas if you try to rename these files that you have acquired just now inside Fusion, the Windows Explorer won't let you because it'll say that they're being used. So this is a way of renaming them without having to close Fusion and then not know which one is which.